Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are going to go ahead and run our intro, and we will be right back. Hey, Rich, thanks for joining us tonight. Okay, so ladies, this is one of those topics that I'm probably a little too overzealous about. So I'm gonna try not to get like real, power to the people with this topic. But this is one of the things that I'm constantly like like this in my husband's ear about because sometimes I feel like he doesn't understand it. Now when I talk about these things, I feel safe in saying like this applies not necessarily to our households. Because your home, or I'll say for us on this panel, our home is a safe place, for us. So this does not necessarily apply to our households, but I'm sure all of us know people or have experienced different things outside of our house, with different companies or different people or in the grocery store. I'm sure everybody has a story. So what led to this conversation? um I'm always looking for things that we can talk about that have meaning, have a little substance to. Sometimes I try for fun stuff, but I want to talk about things that matter. And thinking about this, I started really with the doctors. So over the years I've been to all kinds of doctors, all kinds of specialists, and have all kinds of experiences. And I can say more bad than good, as it pertains to doctors. And I know that we had the gynecologist on before and we talked to her about some things. But it caused me to look up, I started doing a little research. And so I found um, the guy, his last name was Sims, that created gynecology. He did it by um, performing involuntary surgeries on slaves um, all those years ago. Hey, Keita, thanks for joining us. Involuntary surgeries with no anesthesia,
Mhm.
even though anesthesia was widely available and could have been used. He did not use it. At the end of his studies and all the articles and things he wrote, his hypothesis or whatever, his conclusion was that women of color could take more pain than our counterparts. We've talked about that a little more before. So when I looked at that, I was like, well, what about in other places? And then I was thinking about in the workplace. As of like March of 2021, they were saying that women of color make 63 cents on the dollar as opposed to white non-Hispanic males. Um, and I was like, wow, like we're not protected with our doctors. We're in the workplace, sometimes doing more work than our counterparts, than the men, or working just as hard, and we're automatically paid less because of our gender. And then it was saying 63 cent, but it decreases based on your race, and your age, and of course the job you do. But 63 cents is like the peak. And then, you know, if it's a Black woman, that's just women. So if you factor in your race, it lowers significantly. And I thought like that was really interesting. And then I saw, because I was like, by now I'm Googling crazy because I want to find other information. So I saw that there's a congressman that is trying to overturn Roe versus Wade, to deny women reproductive rights. And I was like, wow. So like now we got our country or our government, you know, that's voting against us. You in the workplace, you know, they're not protecting us or taking care of us. You know, you go to the doctor if something's wrong, the doctor is not always advocating for you just because you came in as a woman of color. And it made me think like, you know, back to Color Purple, you know, that scene when Sophia, when she said, I had to fight all my life, you know, I had to fight my daddy and my brothers. And I think we always think of that, you know, like in that one singular way that she fought her family. But I think about sometimes as women of color, we're fighting all the time in one, you know, one sense of another. We're fighting in the workplace. We're fighting for our children in the schools. You know, we're fighting at the doctor's office. I feel like sometimes we're in a constant fight. And so I was like, we should talk about this, you know, what that really feels like, you know, and then even with our men sometimes, and sometimes doesn't apply to everybody, but you know, you get that where you have to fight with them because they prefer or they'll go with another race based on the fact that we're too aggressive or we're too demanding or, you know, we don't conform to this, or this. And so I wanted to know you ladies' take on it or what you thought. I know I said a lot. I'm sorry.
So definitely a lot. But what I would say is that when you initially sent the topic and I was kind of looking on it, my answer that I was going to provide, you kind of like smushed and smashed it in the beginning as you were talking.
I'm
Because
sorry.
answer, my only answer was going to be that the only safe space for us is probably in our homes. And it's like you kind of just started off with like, well, yeah, I know that, you know, like for us, we're safe in our homes. But aside from that, so that was kind of my response. That was kind of like the thought, the initial thought that I had, is that your home is that sanctuary. Your home is that place that you go where you can kind of just be you. Because when you do go out into the world, you know, as an employee, as a mother, as, you know, all these other different things that we do, community members, there is kind of a I don't want to call it a mask that we have to put on, but oftentimes we kind of have to put on our other self. So you don't really get to be your authentic self until you get home sometimes. Because you have so many other roles that you have to make sure that you're prepared to offer to people. Um, so I feel like you don't get your own safe space until you get home. But then thinking about it from the perspective that you brought it from, with considering the history of the practice of medicine and how the practice of medicine literally used us as guinea pigs, and we still don't get, you know, the same amount of care and treatment that another race of people may get because of the color of our skin. That, you know, that in and of itself, and that hasn't necessarily been my personal experience, but I know that it's still there, and I know that it could very easily be, you know, my personal experience. I do I do recognize and kind of see it. It's kind of like you hear it, you know it. But when it hasn't necessarily always been your personal experience, it's like it doesn't hit you as hard until you have that first experience and you're just kind of sitting back like, did that really just happen to me? Like, and was that really, like when it really connects? But I think we all experience the fighting for our children. And I don't know that, I think in some senses, some of us become natural fighters. And because it's like just second nature to us, we kind of just do it on, I guess, automatic without, anybody saying, hey, you have to, push this button. You have to fight now because, now they're trying to target your kid, or push the button again. You have to fight for your rights in this situation, or push your button again. You have to fight, to be paid equally in the workforce. I think it's something that's just second nature for many of us, and almost so to the point where when we could turn it off, we don't, because we're just so naturally, like, we're just ready to, like, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and I was like, whoa, like, you ready to already pop off, and like, that's not even where we need to be right now. Like, this is a safe space. Those are not literally my words, but like, thinking back on it now, I'm like, whoa, like, calm down. Like, whoa, Nelly, you don't have to do all that right now. But it was just second nature. It's just kind of, we just kind of rise up and we're ready to go. And I think that because of that, we don't know how to turn it off. And because we don't know how to turn it off sometimes, I think that's where we run into situations where we really don't have to fight, and we're still fighting for no reason, which is kind of hard, to deal with, because now you have to come back from that.
Right. When I first got the topic, I think, like Shanetta, I thought that it's a situation where we have to create our own safe spaces, and that usually ends up being safe spaces with our friends and family, and in our homes. So that's kind of what I was thinking about, that we create it when we kind of choose who we can open up to, who we can, let our hair down with, that type of thing. With regard to the doctor, there have been times where I mostly had, good experiences, but like here lately, child, I'm going there with pain and everything, and it's just like, it was really just like, okay, so this week you're feeling better, okay, we're done. No, we need to find out the root cause. What is the diagnosis? Why? I don't want to keep coming back here with the same, what I mean? Oh, you feel better, great. And I mean, there were other things. It made it seem to me, every time I came into the doctor's office, they said that my blood pressure was high. But I'm home every single day taking my blood pressure, and it's normal. This man, as soon as he got a high blood pressure reading twice, he's trying to put me on medications. I said, absolutely not. You're not going to put me on medication before we investigate what's the situation and why every time I come here is very high. And every time I take it daily, it's, normal at home. So for me, now I'm thinking, what, y'all got some kind of racket going with the, with the high blood pressure medication company or whatever? But you never know. People, they get kickbacks and stuff for putting people on medication. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And, I had to go and make my own appointment with the next specialist. I had to advocate for myself. And I felt like, like I didn't want to go in fighting, right. And I kind of took some time and say, well, maybe, maybe they're the doctor, they know what they're doing. Then I was like, no. I'm not going to keep coming back here. And you'll just ask them, oh, you feel better today? Great. We'll see you in a few months. And then I don't know when this pain is going to flare up again. No, I need testing. I need, so now I have to advocate for myself. And I try to do it in a nice calm way and said, well, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And so when I told my, that I scheduled with the, the next specialist, he was like, oh, you did? I sure did. Because that's what we're going to do. It's my body, it's my health. And if you're not going to push for the next set of round of testing, I am,
Right.
So I just feel like I'm not like very confrontational. And so I always take a step back before I go into fight mode. But I feel like you were saying, Shanetta, sometimes like we're in already ready because I'll have the whole fight going in my head.
Right.
Right. But I didn't come all the way out and say it yet. Like I have right now, I got a running fight in my head with the my son's recruiter guy, the coach, because he's not stepping up and doing what he needs to do. And I'm like, I'm paying you, and I got this whole fight. I'm ready to go at him, but since he's a brother, I don't want to go. My normal route would be send my email, CC corporate, and all that. That's what I normally do. But I'm trying to give him a chance. I already spoke to him in person because I'm trying not to have a paper trail to say you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But I still have to go now. I still have to fight for my kid.
So even on that, we spend time, even in the midst of our fights, trying to protect other people because they look like us.
Right.
Right.
Because I mean, he's a brother. So I'm like, I don't want him to lose his job because I'm coming across because, I could come all the way with receipts and write the whole email in such a manner that they'll be like, oh my, and I don't want to do that. But I'm almost at the point where I'm just going to be like, sir, just reassign my file to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, but I'm in fight mode because, y'all know that's my baby. That's my baby. So I'm in fight mode about it right now. And it's been going in my head, the full argument. I'm ready. But yeah, definitely we're in fight mode a lot. And I felt like since I was assigned a coach of color, I'm like, oh, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have something in common. We could, connect. Child, no. So.
Right. And Shanetta, I know, like you said, the first thing you was thinking was like in your home. And I thought about that too, but then I thought about all the women outside of us on this broadcast or whatever, that don't have that. Yeah. That there's, they don't have that safe space at home. Like you said, they are constantly in fight mode. And then they go home and they have to fight more. It could be a husband, it could be a boyfriend, it could be now your kids have gotten too grown, in your house, or your mother-in-law or your mother. There's so many times that I feel like, especially, I'll say for us, like, our fight their fight may not be our fight. But, like when you think about the bigger picture, and Trina, you were saying we need to create it for ourselves. And that was, I try to always bring it in to something that, can connect us. And that was the connecting piece. Like I thought about, you always hear about being your brother's keeper, right? Am I my brother's keeper? Like, shouldn't the same apply for women? Like, are we our sister's keeper? Like, can people really, depend on you? Like, should we spend more time trying to connect with each other? They always say there's power in numbers. Like sometimes you go in the doctor's office, you see other Black women. I've been in there and I've seen younger people and whatever. And I go in there and I may have a bad experience, and I come out and I just go on home with my bad experience, fussing all the way to the car, or I done fussed at the doctor, and now I'm leaving. And I was thinking, like, Anthony said, well, would you go to the doctor with a woman? And I was like, sure. Like, if somebody asked me, like, sure, I'd come. Like, we could advocate together. And I think about that sometimes, maybe we need to try to bind together on things. And I know some things are personal, and you have all those fears and those butterflies, because as much as you might feel like, okay, I could just tell her and connect with her, it's hard. It is hard, to reach out and try to connect to people. So, I was thinking about that part of it, like, trying to figure out how to really be your sister's keeper. Sometimes we see somebody, we're like, oh, she too much. You see them coming across to me like, not today. I can't. I'll say for me, because I'm definitely that person, like, oh no, nope, not today, devil. And I'm going, like I'm trying to go the other way. But now that, like, especially this week, that I've been thinking about the fact that, I don't know what your fight has been all week. Maybe you need some of this crazy Sam to help you, get through the next week. And so, I was saying to myself, like, I'm purposing myself that, I don't want to run away, like tuck tail and, head to the parking lot super fast, when you see people, because sometimes it feels like too much. Like, I really want somebody to be able to count on me. And I don't mean for stuff. I mean, even if it's just the emotional support, maybe I can say something that might put a little pep in your step, give you that little added piece of strength. Like, I want that to be my focus going forward, like to help you create, that safe space for yourself. Just because you're a woman of color, like, I don't have to know all the inner workings of your business and your details, but maybe I can help you find your little bit of peace.
I definitely think that as women in general and women of color, that's something that's really hard to find. And my personal experience is not having a large group of friends that I can kind of pick from and say, oh, I'm going to call, so-and-so and, cry my little heart out. And, she's going to be there for me and I can tell her all the things and, all that kind of stuff. I'm not that person with, friendships. So to begin to build those type of connections and have people that you realize in moments that you can count on and that can be there for you when you're kind of having those moments, I think is kind of that buried treasure that many of us don't have because we're so used to being isolated. We're so used to being independent. We're so used to, it's so hard to get along and I got to, fight my way through it all my life.
Right.
I had to fight. So we're so used to that we don't know how to even be good friends. We don't know how to even be good support systems for others. I remember a time, this was years ago, a friend of mine needed, like the example you were using, she needed a female friend to go to the doctor with her. And initially I was just kind of like, girl, ain't nobody gonna go to the doctor with you. Don't nobody do that. But realizing that she asked me for a reason, I was like, okay, let me, like I can do this. I can go to the doctor with her. And I did. But how many of us have a friend that can do that for us? I don't know of anybody that, like, not that you wouldn't, but like, I mean, I don't know that I would pick up the phone and say, I need a girlfriend to go to the doctor with me, because like I need that support of my girl right now. I think that's something that those are things that we definitely have to, I think, learn how to connect. I'm not necessarily about New Year's resolutions. I think honestly, like my recent experience with being sick has kind of like opened my eyes up to a whole lot of things.
Okay.
And I think my new approach to things is being there for people and just being more supportive of people in general and just, just things that people are dealing with. And for me, I think that includes, whatever it takes to help somebody along the way. I may not have all the money that can help you, but I do have an ear where I can listen. I may not have, a home for you, where I can just be like, oh, you're having, home issues for you and your family. Here's a house for y'all to go live in. But I do have, resources that I can help you. I can help you search. I'll get on Zillow for you all day long because I love searching Zillow for no reason, not even looking for a house. But if you need somebody to search with you on Zillow, I'm your girl. I will look up some houses and find you a good rental or a good property to buy with the number of bedrooms that you want too. Maybe I should have been a real estate agent. I don't know. But
Never too late.
but nonetheless, like, I mean, I found myself in recent weeks just thinking about just being more supportive to people. And I think that in whatever way you can find yourself to do that, that's a part of one of those things that helps to build community. We don't usually know who we can turn to. We don't usually know. And then like after everything has happened, you know, people be like, you should have called me, you know, da, 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 da. I would have helped you through that. And you're like, but could I have really called you? Would you have?
Right. Like, right. After the fact, that's an easy.
Right. And I kind of want to be that person that, no, you really could have called me. Right. And when you do call, like, let me show you that, you know, I'm actually here for you and I'm not coming up with 50 million excuses as to why I can't help you. But I'm like, oh, okay, what you need? I'm on my way. I got you. I may not be able to be on my way, but you know what? I got something that's going to get dropped off, you know, over there, you know, to help you through that situation. I don't know. That's just, you know, my take on things is that we have to learn to be the safe space. And I think when you learn to become the safe space for someone else, that you will begin to see that there are people out there that want to be a safe space for you too.
That was good. Okay, yeah, we're gonna come back to that. Trina, were you gonna say something?
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm more comfortable lending an ear or giving that word of encouragement to someone that I see actually in distress, as opposed to reaching out to someone when I'm in need or in distress. And you know, I know there was a parent, and she would come, and I knew she was going through it with her boyfriend at the house, because some morning she would come here in tears, just dropping her kids off upset. We had another fight and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know, I'll be like, girl, you know, it's okay. But I couldn't go any further. I'm not gonna get in her business, you know. Like, it's kind of that line, like, how far do you go? I don't want to ask too many questions because, you know, I don't know. So I would just kind of say, you know, well, you know, try to have a good day. It's gonna get better. And that's really, you know, all I could do. But I know for sure that if I were her, I know that I wouldn't reach out to my childcare provider. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I have a hard time reaching out to my friends, you know? So I feel like if somebody like in that position where, you know, I know them and I see them or whatever, and they tried to reach out to me, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm good. Thank you. It's gonna, you know, yeah, I'll be okay. And that'll be it, you know, because I wouldn't feel like I could open up to somebody that I know you, I trust you, you take care of my kids or whatever, but yeah, girl, I'm not going to tell you this whole situation I'm going through, you know? So it's just like, you try to reach out into the community and be that safe space, but I don't know that I would reach out myself. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I could be that person to, you know, try to encourage somebody, but if I was going through something, I don't know that I would, you know, because I have a hard time even reaching out to my actual friends and family. So
right. And you know, I find that so odd, so odd. Like, not you personally, but like, because you know, like, women, white women, women of other races, you can meet them in the grocery store, like, not even meet them. You'd be like, hey, how you doing? And they'll tell you like their life story. Like, when I went to work at my last job, I was in training with the woman, you know, she was training me. My second day on the job, she told me her whole life story and then was crying too. And she was supposed to be training me. And I was like, okay, so how I do this again? Because, you know, like, in my mind, like, I don't know you. I don't even care. Like, mind you, this was like 3, for I don't know however many years ago. But I'm just like, why do you people do that? And it was so odd to me because she literally did not know me. Like this was day 2 of you just knowing my name. But I find that more often that people of other races, they overshare. Like, you know, you don't even have to want to know and they'll tell you. I mean, I don't think I look like safe space walking. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you just want to pour out? But I have noticed people of other races will pour out stuff to you, um, you know, and feel no kind of way and walk away and they're like, "Ooh, I feel better." You know, and then the rest of their day is great. And you can still be standing there potentially looking clueless because you don't understand how you learn so much, you know, kind of like about a stranger. Like, I find that. And I agree with you, Trina. Like, I'm not, it's crazy because even now that I kind of have these things going. You know, I'll reach out to everybody. Like I send text, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? And I text and text and text. And you know, and I don't, they be like, hey dog, I'm good. I'm great. Life is good. You know, and I kind of just leave it at that. So I kind of understand what you're saying, you know, like you really don't you don't see yourself as that person that kind of would reach out. But I think, you know, like everything is learned behavior. Like, cause I mean, even reaching out to other people on a regular, like that's a learned behavior for me. You know, for years, for a long time, I had the one friend and Anthony, and that was it. Everybody else, you know, you all right, but that one person, and then she went crazy, so I was kind of over that too, you know. So and the weird part was like I was okay with that, like, and I realized even with that situation, like, okay, I got to be better, like I got to do better, you know, like my kids are watching. I don't want them growing up doing the same stuff, you know, like I thought along those lines. So I get it is different. It is different to kind of reach out to somebody, um, you know, and maybe you'll never get to that point, and that's okay too. If you prefer, you know, to be that person, to be that safe space, and that's a weird space because you never know, like you said, how far to go. You know, it's always kind of like uh, you know, and I feel like, you know, sometimes you'll get the, oh, I'm good, you know, that cut off good where you can you clearly feel the cutoff. And then, you know, sometimes you get the I'm okay, you know, kind of like they want to talk, and then you gotta kind of, you know, coax it out of them some way. But I feel like that's one of those situations where you can say, you know, God knows my heart. Like he knows I want to be, no, I'm serious. Like, you know, he knows that you genuinely want to be there, you know, for people. And I feel like he'll put people in your path that, you know, might need all that sunshine that you got bottled up, bottled up on the inside parts. Oh, Shanette, I wanted to ask you, you said after being sick, you feel like you wanna reach out more and do more or whatever. You want to kind of explain why that was? Like why what was
Sure. So recently, both my husband and I were sick at the same time. We both had COVID. And for us, it did get really bad during the experience. Now for me, I'm not a super duper private person. I'm pretty much an open book. Like if you ask me something, I'll answer it. Like I'm not like, you know, oh, don't tell anybody, you know, we feel this, you know, this is we're not those kind of people. So when people began to find out that we were sick, the number one question is, do you need anything? So you get all these texts, you know, do you need anything? Do you need anything? And I had gotten this one text and it was like, do you need anything? And I was like, oh, we're good. And it was kind of like, you know, kind of like how we say we respond because we're so used to being the ones to pour into people that when people start reaching out to us, we just kind of shut it down with the, oh, I'm good. And another text came in and I realized that text after text after text was coming in and I really didn't need stuff. And I had made up my mind. I was laying in the bed and I just knew that there was nothing, that this was getting worse and that I could not, like, I couldn't get up. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do anything. And I was like, if another person texts me and asks me, do I need anything? I don't care how superficial it feels or how superficial it might even be.
Right.
I am going to respond, and I'm going to respond and tell them exactly what I need. And another text came in and they were like, hey, do you need anything? Yes, we need food because I can't cook. He
Right.
can't cook. We're both weak. And after that, once I felt like, I guess the liberty that I was comfortable enough to say what I really needed and not be afraid to just cover it up with the typical, oh, I'm good.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, people really do care about me.
Right.
They're not just checking on me because it's what we do.
Right.
They're checking on me because they really do care about me. And at that point, like, I kind of learned a super good lesson for me in the midst of that, is that you can really say what you need sometimes. You don't
Right.
have to sit over here and be in need and, not tell anybody. Like, we were really very sick, and I can't, like, talk about it too much without getting emotional.
Okay.
But we were very sick. It was very hard, and we couldn't even stand up to cook a pot of soup. And that only takes about 2 minutes to start bubbling and boiling. We didn't really have the strength to do that. Like, the mere act of walking from our bedroom to the kitchen, upstairs to downstairs, was a whole task. The strength to be able to stand over the stove or even, like, look for the pots. Like, my brain was so foggy. There were moments where I didn't even know where to look for stuff that I use all the time. Like, I was just kind of standing there like, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to get it done right now. So it was a huge need because there wasn't even another person. Like, when one person is sick and the other person is well, you have that other person to kind of figure it out and orchestrate things. And that lasted for us for about 3 days, where I was fine and he was the only one sick. And then after those 3 days, we were both down. So it was just kind of like, so you can't get up, I can't get up. Who's going to feed us? Like, how do we eat? How do we do the things? So, and then it progressed and it kind of got worse and worse and worse. And, like, literally, we were just having a really rough time. So when people began to reach out, we learned that there were people that cared enough. And so that kind of created, like, a safe space for me to really say what was needed in those moments. And what was mostly needed was just food that was already cooked. So all we had to do was just open it and eat it. Because other than that, we probably would have perished over here in this house, and y'all would have been knocking on the door. And I have a flair for the dramatics too, by the way.
Yeah, I was just about to say, not perished.
I gotta have a flair for the dramatics sometimes, but nonetheless, it was quite rough. And that experience taught me that when you're the person that's always there to support other people, and you get into a place where you need that support back, you can't be afraid to say it. Or not really afraid, because I don't really think it was that I was ever afraid to say it. It was more so, I just wasn't going to say it. It just wasn't something I was going to do. And I realized in those moments that it's okay to just say what it is that's going on and what it is that you need. Now, would I have said that to absolutely everybody? No. Was I trying to, make anybody feel bad for me? No. Like, literally, guys, I can't cook. Would you send me a pot of soup, cooked in a bowl? Like, I can, just eat it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. You want to drop off a case of waters over here because we can't go to the store. Like, we're literally quarantined in our house, and we can't go to the store. So if I need to like, I had a friend who came, and the most that she could do in that moment was take my prescriptions and drop them off at the pharmacy, because the pharmacy was being idiots in that moment and wouldn't take a picture of it for me. So I needed somebody to take it, and nobody was available but her in that moment. But she came, and she was able to, I left it on, by my front door. I literally left my door unlocked for like a couple of days at a time. Like, I was only locking it at night because people were coming to, but I couldn't be near
Right.
them because, you know, I had to quarantine and be away from people. So we just had to leave the door unlocked and people would just kind of shove stuff into our front door, close the door back and leave. But having that support of people was a lifesaver. And it kind of really opened my eyes to, hey, you probably need to be a better support to other people. And maybe I have been a good support to people. Maybe that's why they, you know, wanted to help us. But I also felt like there was more. I felt like there was something else. And my personal, I think, goal for me, because my husband may not even be on board. He, you know, he living his own life. And I want him to be, but like I have to do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I think my personal mission for me is to make sure that I'm present and to make sure that I'm available for people. I may, like I said, I may not have, you know, a whole bunch of money that I can give you, but I can give you my time. I can help you. I can help you find what you need. And I think that that's one of the things that I come out of that with. That's like my personal, you know, positive spin on what I did experience, is that I can do a little bit more, and I'm going to try to do that into the best of my ability. Because I may not be everything that you need, but I can be what I am that can help you. So that's just kind of where I am.
And I think that's great. You know, I mean, it's terrible, you know, that it took such a terrible ordeal, you know, but like growth and change is like a great thing. And I think if, like, you know, like you said, I may not be everything, but I can do something. Like I may not have it, I may, you know, whatever, but I can be there. And I think if we could all, even if it's just one day a week, just have that mindset, like, you know, it's gonna be thankful Thursday, and on Thursdays I'm gonna do something that I wouldn't do for the rest of the week, you know, for somebody else. It's like the littlest things. I saw something on Facebook, like this man, he was ahead of the lady. Oh no, I don't even think he was ahead of her for like with her groceries. Somehow he paid for her groceries and just walked out. Like he didn't say anything, he didn't wait for a thank you. And I believe he was a Caucasian man. He just paid for her groceries and he left. Wasn't, you know, a holiday or nothing, just a day of the week. And I thought, like, you know, it's the smallest things sometimes that make all of the difference. And the lady, like, she started crying like ridiculously because I think it said like she had a bad day, and you know, like her stuff just wasn't adding up. It wasn't working out for her. And you know, and in that moment it relieved all the pressure she was feeling, and it just oozed out of her eyes. And I know sometimes as women of color, like the pressure can be heavy. It can be heavy. Um, and I feel like it's no harm in saying that to somebody. You
Yeah.
know, today it's a heavier than, you know, today it's heavy. It's a heavy day for me. Like we need to get into the practice of being able, you know, to say that to somebody. And you know, one person, even if it's one person the whole year, you know, that you've said it to. You never know how somebody might be able to carry that burden with you, even if they can't do nothing else but pray for you, or you know, little stuff. Like I said, well, maybe I'll pick up this for you, or I'll do this, or you know, there's so many little things that we can do for each other. But I firmly believe there is power in numbers. We need to, you know, bind together. We need to, you know, be there for one another. If nobody else is going to look out for us, and I'm not talking about your family or your significant others, I'm talking about, you know, people, if no other races are going to be there for us as women of color, we got to be there for ourselves. If nobody else is going to, you know, say, well, she should be making more, you know, and you know there's one other black girl in the office, you be an advocate for her. Not telling you lose your job, and you know, but it, you know, it never hurts if you see the person is worth it. Like, you know, we all want to use common sense. You know, somebody you see is hard work in it, and after it is no harm and trying to use, you know, whatever leverage or just your voice to advocate for somebody else. We have to see what he said. That's awesome. It takes a lot to take help, especially if you're always helping others.
It
Right.
does.
But nobody can be strong all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
half the time I think we still in fight mode because we tired of being strong. We're tired of,
Right.
feeling like we have to or having to
Mhm.
carry the whole weight. It doesn't matter, how you got there or why you carrying it all, but it gets heavy and we can get tired. So, for any sister that may see this broadcast, listen, I'm signing Trina up too. We are here. Facebook, you got the inboxes, you got the messages. Even though we may be in different states, you never know the resources that somebody knows where you are. You never know who knows this one or what connections we may be able to make. But we are here and for no other reason to listen and support you. So to anybody listening, but mostly to our sisters of color, we love you. We are the same in the sense that God made us all. We are all beautiful shades of the same tree. I don't know. Oh, that sounded better in my head than before it came out. But but we do love you guys, and we are committed to trying to make a difference, even if it's inch by inch. We are willing to do that. So until next week, you guys stay safe, and we'll see you next week. As soon as I find my thing.